What is up YouTube? It's your boy SmackNPie here. Welcome to part 2 of our Q&A recap series, Dark Star Prison Panic. But before we get to that, the book, Dark Deception book, is finally here, ladies and gentlemen. I can finally now read it, and we'll make a video or two on it. So I'll be posting a short of the unboxing here on the channel, so make sure you stay tuned for that. Also, in the last video, I said at the end was Mortal Puppet and whatnot. I want to clarify two things. Number one, I've said that Vince said that they're changing the portal icon back to mannequins or not, but it is now confirmed because I misheard it. So thank you guys for making me realize my mistake. It wasn't the portal icon, it was the to be continued screen. So to be continued screen is not going to change. The portal icon will change to Puppet King. That's number one. And number two, Mortal Puppets. We're going to come to that at the end of this video. But we're going to start off with the Prison Panic and Dark Star recap part 2 with what we talked about a long time ago in one of my videos where I said, wouldn't it be great if Dark Star and Agatha interact? I've said I would love to see them interact. They would be like little sisters. Now, I didn't mean that literally, because somebody asked, are Agatha and Dark Star sisters? It was revealed they are not sisters. They're not related like that, bro. Why would they be, bro? There's a huge difference between the two, but I've said that it would be like a sister dynamic. If they were to interact, Agatha would annoy Dark Star. She would be annoyed, but she would also be like, take care of Agatha, like a, sister and whatnot, and I would love to see them interact. That's what I meant. So they're not sisters, but I would love to see them interact. It would be funny. It will also be wholesome for Dark Deception, which is, it's getting into dark, gritty things and whatnot. Speaking of Dark Star model reveal, we talked about it in the Puppet King video as well. So it was revealed here that Dark Star also went through some model upgrades. Again, not major, just minors. That will be, enhancing the model even more, bringing every character to a similar high quality. We will actually get to see both Puppet King and Dark Star models, the new ones, the upgraded ones, fairly soon. And the reason we're seeing for both of these because both of their models have been revealed in the past, so it's not that major of a spoiler anymore if we do get to see the upgraded version. So I'm going to try to keep this video short. We're going to move on to the next one, Dark Star robots. Now this robot right here was revealed a long time ago, and we were wondering how this is going to come into play. Well, we got a little bit of info on that. Vince said that these robots have some things going on. They're not like mannequins who have variety, but what he said kind of gives us a little bit hint. He said, for example, the one that was revealed, this one right here, because there are multiple of them, it has a name. And of course, Vince don't want to reveal it, at least not yet. So this gives me an idea. Is it possible, ladies and gentlemen, that we are kind of seeing a variety of similar type of enemies? Because we saw with mannequins, it's not like mannequins, but it's just my theory that if you do get to see, I'm going to come to enemy variety in just a second because there's one more in that. I keep thinking and imagining Dark Star floating. Of course, she wouldn't do that. But then I also imagine Puppet King flowing. So, and you guys will understand what I mean by similarities between these two levels. It gets really confusing, but yeah, how are these androids and robots going to come into play? We don't know, but we do know there are multiple of them. Some of them even have their own names, which is kind of crazy for me personally. We're going to come back to this point in just a second. Now, we all know Dark Star is a star. She is talented. We've been talking about it for months. She's a performer. So much so that in Dark Realm of this Dark Deception universe, there are actually fans that adore her, that are obsessed with her. They're actually mad fans of Dark Star in Dark Realm, so we gotta protect her at all costs. But at the same time, again, more into this in chapter 5, but we talked about what kind of role she has in the prison. She's not like a warden of the prison. I would say more like a keeper host. Like, she's a keeper of the prison, but also at the same time, she's like a host and whatnot, but not exactly game show host. Let me make that clear. She's not like a warden, she's not game show, but she's kind of in the similar territory. But fans were wondering, will we see her perform? Because she's a star and whatnot, and stars always perform, especially if they want to impress newcomers like us, like Doug Hauser. So it's obvious we will, but the question is where. Now, Vince said here that she will perform, but also, he said that she will perform in a specific portion of the prison. Now, where exactly, we don't know. Of course, he said when chapter 5 drops, but I say it makes sense for Dark Star to be doing something like this in the beginning, as a welcome committee, it would match with the JoJo gang and whatnot. But since chapter 5 is giving us something different than what we've already seen, I feel like it's mostly going to be a transition from Zone 1 to Zone 2. I would even go as far as to say we might not even see Darkstar. We might see her Darkstar like in the beginning, but we might not actually see her in the first whole Zone 1. It's just a theory, I don't know, but when we get from Zone 1 to Zone 2 with the end Darkstar, we might realize, hey, like here's the thing, what if in Zone 1 the robots are the enemies, and once we clear those, she's like, okay, I might need to take care of this, not myself at the moment, but I might need to get involved a little bit, and she throws in another type of enemy, and then before she does that, she performs and whatnot, and she does that all stylish and cool looking and everything, and the new enemy types arrive in Zone 2, and that's where the things go crazy. And then of course the third zone and the boss fight at the end, she's like, okay, I need to get involved in this because this is getting serious. So yeah, we'll get to perform. But what about the enemy type? I mentioned earlier, and in this point as well, the enemy types, the new enemies in Zone 2. Now, there were some discussions here in this Q&A, in the previous Q&A, and the Q&A before that about this lamprey enemy. We theorized, and it was actually never confirmed to be in the prison panic, but we theorized that most likely these are prison dogs, like guard dogs. Let's just assume it is. It's most likely the prison, and I believe this is like either the first or the second zone, most likely second zone. It's just my theory, like first part robot, second part the dogs and whatnot, because the outside area will come into play one way or another, so it would make sense for them to be kind of a trap. There will be dogs, these lamprey dogs roaming around outside in the yard. It makes sense, and the yard would only come into play in Zone 2 in my humble personal opinion. But yeah, this will add to already packed list of enemies that will appear in Prison Panic. So Prison Panic, I'm gonna be honest with you, it's looking really packed. We talked about Mortal Puppets at the end, which a lot of you said he was talking about the OST, where it would use the OST titled Mortal Puppets, and it would make sense because it would be used in the archive room because of the mortals and whatnot. But it gave me an idea, and I didn't mention in the last video, that the term mortal puppets, these two words actually gave me a theory idea, that what if mannequins are like that. I wasn't saying that he said that those are that. I said it gave me an idea. I didn't say that, but that's what I meant. Same thing here. We know there are mortals in this prison, in the prison panic as well. We'll actually get to meet some of them. So I was just connecting the two of, hey, mortal puppets are a thing. When I said mortal puppets, I didn't literally mean the mortal puppets what Vince said. I mean mortals in this dark realm, most likely, right? Most likely these mortals here in the dark realm would become puppets if their desires and sins and immorality take over. And yeah, they become slaves of their own desires. And that's where I was going with the mortal puppet and whatnot. But that's what I keep mentioning about the prison panic mortals. Mortal prisoners, because I really want chapter 5 to diversify and help us a little bit more in the mortals connection and mortals roles here in the dark realm. Because yes, we have beers, that's why we're a little bit elite in the list. We have actually surpassed a lot of normal mortals. We're now actually entering a new territory, but for other mortals we need more explanation into what kind of goes on in this. So I think with this one, they could give us a little bit more. I don't know, I haven't read the book yet. I already have it, like I told you in the beginning of this video. Maybe I learn more onto that in the book. So when I do, again, there's going to be most likely an hour-long video on it, just like Doggo. You guys voted. You can actually vote in the description. Final topic I want to mention is the Darkstar powers. This is a topic that I and many theorists in the Dark Design community struggle, and we kind of stay away from this topic because it's really hard to talk about something we don't know much at all. We don't even know about. We can theorize a little bit for Puppet King, but for Darkstar it's actually completely different than anything. Right? All we know is just different than Duck House, where it's not gonna be like Ducky. Speed boost, we have speed boost. We know chapter 5 enemies don't have the kind of powers that we have, and you know, it's gonna be different. Even the powers that we are going to get, it's gonna be different. So if I were to guess, again, it's a theory, and it's a very, very like low theory. There will be a separate theory that I will do, but I would say it's in the ballpark of her microphone with some sort of metallic powers, the one that she's holding, right, and metal. Now, I wouldn't say just controlling metal, because that is also the Puppet King's power with the control and manipulation, but some sort of metallic power and whatnot, because that would explain prison bars, elevators, chains, materials of her mic, and materials in the prison that we've seen so far. And most importantly, her robots. They got names, bro. So yeah, I think it would be in that ballpark. But who knows at this point, honestly? Like, I think it's a given at this point. The sounds will come into play, but I don't know. I think 2 levels, we talk about Puppy King having control and manipulation abilities. I think 2 levels having these 2 abilities back to back is very unlikely, especially when Chapter 5 is going for something completely different. So we'll come back to these powers in some other videos, but until then, help your boy out down in the comments below. Tell me what kind of powers Puppy King will have and what kind of powers Darkstar will have. So that's all we got for Darkstar and Prison Panic. There wasn't much. Same goes for Fear Fortress and Wicked Ways, which we're gonna combine in the next video. And of course, Dark Deception Hands, Monsters Immortals, Super Dark Deception, all this is coming. So stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. I'm now gonna get my head down and I'm gonna start reading the book, and most likely not gonna post anything until I finish the book and make that video. So yeah, 100k Susu for more. I'll see you in the next one. Follow me on X, Insta, TikTok. I'm mostly active on X/Twitter. Freak that platform, but it's the most followers I got after YouTube. I'll see you in the next one.